image like no other, inspiring decades of research and debate. The Shroud of Turin, that's a piece of history, and it has an...
Have you ever wondered if Jesus really came back to life? Do we have any proof of that? The man who never wrote anything, never left anything behind. But even today, millions of people believe in his name. And now, the Shroud of Turin, a mysterious piece of cloth, is once again in the eyes of the world. It is said that Jesus was wrapped in this cloth after being crucified. But this is not just a story. Now something has been found in it, which is shocking even science. After scanning with new technology, such DNA traces, microfibers, and marks have come to light, which indicate that this may be the same cloth, and if so, then this could be the biggest discovery ever. Some experts are saying this breaks all the logic of science. So, is the resurrection of Jesus just a religious belief, or do we now have solid evidence? In this video, we will show you those unseen pictures, those hidden things, and those new revelations that may change your thinking. If you believe in Jesus, then subscribe to the channel now, and join us in this quest to know the truth. Because maybe we are very close to that moment where faith and evidence become one. When we think of Jesus, most people think of him as a religious figure, or the Son of God. But he was also a historical figure who continues to influence the lives of millions of people today. Jesus was born about 2,000 years ago in what is now Judea, Israel, and Palestine. He was born into a very ordinary family. His mother was Mary, and his father was Joseph. Jesus showed a different way of thinking from childhood. He began visiting temples at a very young age and discussing deep questions of religion and life. As he grew up, he began to preach a message of love, compassion, forgiveness, and humility to people. He talked about equality between rich and poor, high and low, caste and creed, which was a big deal for that time. But his most controversial thing was that he called himself the Son of God. The religious leaders of the time found this very objectionable. This was the reason why he was arrested. False charges were made against him, and finally he was crucified. Now comes the matter of proof. So the surprising thing is that till date, no concrete, physical proof of the life of Jesus has been found, like any diary, any letter, or anything made by his hands. He did not write anything himself. All the information we have is based on what his disciples wrote later. These things are recorded in the Bible. For this reason, many people raise the question whether Jesus really existed. But on the other hand, his influence is so deep that no historian denies that there must have been such a person who shook the society of that time. The Shroud of Turin is a cloth that has surprised people all over the world. It is said that this is the same cloth in which Jesus was wrapped after being crucified. But the question is, where did you find this cloth? It was first mentioned in the 14th century, i.e. around 1350, in France. It is said that a knight whose name was Geoffroy de Charny handed over this cloth to the church. At that time, people saw a blurred image of a human on this cloth, which surprised everyone. Gradually, it was believed that this image could be of Jesus. Initially, there was doubt about it even inside the church. Some priests considered it sacred, while some said that it could be something made by an artist. But still, people's faith continued to increase. After this, in 1578, this cloth was taken to Turin city of Italy, and since then it has been called Shroud of Turin. Even today, it is kept in a special glass box in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist, where it is handled with utmost care. Both historians and the church have done a lot of research on it. It has been exhibited many times, and millions of people come to see it. It is never touched. It is examined only with special equipment. In the last 100 years, scientific testing has also been done on this cloth many times, such as photography, carbon dating, DNA testing, etc. Every time something new comes out, which increases its mystery even more. So this cloth is not just an old piece, it is a question standing between faith, history, and science. whose answer the whole world is still searching for. The most mysterious thing about the Turin Shroud is the image of a human being on it. When people first saw this cloth, they saw a light shadow, as if a human being had lied on this cloth and a light imprint of his body had remained. But this image was seen completely clearly only when a photographer took a photo of it in the year 1898. His name was Secondo Pia. When he developed the negative image of that photo, everyone was surprised. A very clear and detailed picture of a man appeared on that cloth. Face, eyes, beard, hands, feet, everything. Now imagine this is a cloth from the 14th century, but the image on it is like a negative image, which is hundreds of years before the discovery of photography. It was impossible to create such a thing in that era. The man seen in this image has many injury marks on his body. Wounds on the forehead, as if he was wearing a crown of thorns. The marks of the straps on the back, as if he had been severely flogged. The holes on the hands and feet, as if they had been hammered with nails. And the deep wound near the ribs, as if he had been stabbed with a spear. Now all these things match the story of Jesus' crucifixion in the Bible. That is why many people believe that this image is of Jesus and this shroud was wrapped around his body. Scientists found in their investigation that this image was not made with any paint or color. There are no brush marks, no sketching. It is as if it has burned itself on the upper part of the cloth, only on the surface, not inside. So the question arises, is this just a coincidence, or did something happen at the time of Jesus' resurrection, which science is still unable to understand? Now the question arises, is the Turin Shroud really 2,000 years old? Is this the same cloth in which Jesus was wrapped? To find the answer to this, in the year 1988, 3 different labs did a carbon dating test on it. This is a scientific method by which the age of any old organic thing, such as cloth, wood, bone, etc., is found. The result that these labs gave was very shocking. They said that this shroud is from between 1260 to 1390 AD. That is from the Middle Ages. This means that it is about 1,300 years after the time of Jesus. As soon as this report came, there was a stir in the whole world. Many people started saying that, look, this is fake, this is an artist's trick. But the story did not end here. As time passed, many questions started arising on this test. The biggest question was the part from which the sample was taken a part of the original cloth? Some experts later said that the sample was taken from the edge, which was probably repaired. That means that part may not be the original shroud, but may be a fabric added later. And if this is so, then the result of carbon dating will not be correct. Apart from this, some scientists also said that the cloth has been exposed to fire and smoke, like in the church fire of 1532, which may have affected its radiocarbon dating. This means that the test which was being considered as the ultimate truth is now also being doubted. Even today, many researchers and scientists believe that it is not right to call the shroud completely fake on the basis of that one test. So the question still remains the same: was there any truth in that test? Or is the truth hidden in some other layer? Even though some people assumed the Turin Shroud was a fake after the 1988 carbon dating, many scientists and researchers have not stopped investigating it, especially now that we have access to new technology, which allows us to see things more deeply and clearly than ever before. In recent years, advanced tests such as X-ray fluorescence, UV imaging, and 3D scanning have been conducted on the shroud, and the results are truly surprising. First of all, talking about microfibers, scientists have found blood particles present on the very fine threads of the cloth, which are not even visible to the eye. And this is not ordinary blood. This blood is human, and it contains proteins that are released from the body of a person who is suffering from extreme stress or pain. That means the person to whom this blood belongs was subjected to a lot of pain, just as the Bible tells that Jesus was whipped and crowned with thorns before being crucified. Now let's talk about DNA traces. Scientists found that the DNA on the cloth belonged to many different races. Traces were found in it from the Middle East, Europe, India, and Africa. This could also mean that this shroud has passed through many places and thousands of people have touched it. But the most strange thing that came to light, the image on this cloth was not made by paint or any known technique. No brush marks, no solid effect of color. UV and X-ray scanning showed that this image is only on the upper surface of the cloth, and that too so light that it does not penetrate the threads. Some scientists have even said that this image could be made by something like an energy burst or radiation which came out of a human body. Now the question is, how can this happen? Did all this really happen in a resurrection-like moment? Science is still looking for answers to this, but every new discovery is making this mystery deeper. The Turin Shroud is as mysterious as the debate and disagreement surrounding it. Some people consider it the most sacred thing, while others call it the biggest fraud in history. If we talk about the Church, that is, the institution of Christianity, their opinion is quite interesting. The Church has never directly said that, yes, this shroud is of Jesus, but they have considered it a symbol of faith. Many popes themselves have prayed in front of this shroud. The Church does not want to limit it to any one decision. It believes that people's faith is attached to it, and it is important to maintain it. Now, if we talk about scientists, here the opinion is very divided. Some scientists, especially those who rely on carbon dating tests, say that this cloth is from the Middle Ages, and some artist must have cleverly created this image, perhaps for some religious purpose. But on the other hand, there are many independent researchers and scientists who have done a microanalysis of this shroud, and they say, brother, this thing does not fit the logic of science. They say that the image is only on the surface, it did not go deep inside, no brush or color has been used in it. The blood is real, and that too of a person who was in a lot of pain. And the biggest question, how is that image negative when photography was not even invented? Some experts have clearly said, this image has not been made by anyone. It has been created on its own. That is, it was either created by a very unique natural phenomenon or by something that we do not understand yet, like an energy burst or a divine event. These differences make this mystery more interesting. On one side, faith, on the other side, science, and in between a shroud that is clashing with both. So the question still remains, is this cloth proof or just a brilliant illusion? The Shroud of Turin is not just an old cloth, it has become a symbol of faith and miracles for millions of people around the world. It is kept in a special sealed glass box in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, Italy. Now you must be wondering, do people come all this way just to see an old cloth? The answer is yes, and that too in millions. Whenever this shroud is displayed in public, called an ostentation, people line up from all over the world, America, Brazil, the Philippines, India, Europe, everywhere. Many people spend money saved for years just to see it. People believe that seeing this cloth is nothing less than a holy experience. Many people say that when they saw the shroud for the first time, they felt something different inside, like an energy, a peace, an answering silence. There are also some stories where people claim to have seen a miracle after praying, like illnesses being cured, lives being changed, or mental suffering being relieved. That's why the Turin Shroud is not just a subject of history or science today. It's a living faith. Even when people couldn't come during COVID, the church live-streamed the shroud, and millions of people watched it online. One more thing, many people consider it a sacred cloth and keep objects related to it in their homes, such as photos, printed scarves, or small postcards, so that some of that holiness can come into their lives. So you see, it's not just a piece of cloth, it's a deeply rooted journey of faith, hope, and belief that continues to this day. As many consider the Turin Shroud a miracle, As many consider it a deliberate trick or religious fraud, they have their own theory, and they say that the shroud is not related to Jesus, but a fake relic from the medieval period, which someone deliberately made to cash in on people's emotions. First of all, these people point to the carbon dating test of 1988, in which this cloth was found to be from the 13th or 14th century. They say that if it is not from the time of Jesus, then its being sacred is in question. Now comes the matter of artists. Some historians believe that some artists of that time used to make religious art and sell it to churches so that people would be drawn in devotion and the church would benefit. They say that perhaps an artist created the image on the cloth not just with his hands, but by using a real corpse or something like a corpse, as if someone was painted and laid on the cloth. One theory is that the image was created using a chemical reaction, such as acid, or the effect of exposure to sunlight, and since people were superstitious at the time, they accepted it as a miracle. There are many examples in history of fake relics being created, such as the bones of saints, a piece of Jesus' cross, or the bottle of Mary's tears that were later proven to be fake. Opponents say the shroud may be one such hoax, an emotional trap used by churches and religious institutions to increase their power and following. While this may sound harsh, it is important to raise the question so that we can distinguish between superstition and reality. So is the cloth really a sign of some divine event, or a very clever and successful manipulation? Now imagine, if the Turin shroud turns out to be real, and it is proven to belong to the man who was crucified, Jesus Christ, how big and historic would that mean? First and foremost, it would be the first and only physical evidence in human history that points to Jesus' resurrection. Until now, stories about Jesus were limited to the Bible or religious texts. But if this shroud is real, then this story would become not just faith, but reality, something that can be touched and seen. Imagine, for centuries people have been asking, did Jesus really come back to life? If this shroud is proven to be real, the answer could be yes, and this answer would have the stamp of science, not just the church. Secondly, this discovery could become a bridge between science and faith. In today's world, religion and science often seem to be standing against each other. But if scientific testing proves that the shroud is real, then perhaps for the first time, both will say the same thing. And thirdly, perhaps the most shocking thing, history will have to be rewritten. Many historians have been saying till date that there is no concrete evidence of the time of Jesus. But if this shroud is really from that period, and the image of Jesus is recorded on it, then the whole world, whether it is religious or not, will have to rethink its facts. This will not only give new strength to Christianity, but will also force other religions and ideologies to stop and think once. So the question is, are we ready for this? If this cloth is telling the truth, then the most sacred story of the world will no longer be just faith, but will become a fact. So far we have told you about the story of the Turin shroud, the controversy, and the scientific research. But the real question is, what do we actually have? Is it something that you can see and feel yourself? First, let's talk about photographs and scanning. For many years, people considered this shroud to be just an old cloth, but when it was photographed for the first time, the real surprising thing came to light. Because when this shroud was seen in the negative image, that is, in the reverse light of the camera, a complete human face and body was visible on it. This was not a painting, nor was it ink. It was made only of body heat, blood, and some such strange marks, for which science has not been able to find a complete answer till date. Now let's talk about old and new scanning. Things that were previously visible only to the eyes have now been seen in depth, with technologies like microscope, UV light, 3D scanning, and X-ray fluorescence. And when the shroud was scanned with these tools, it showed traces of blood, DNA traces, and signs of injuries similar to crucifixion. And most amazing, when the image of the cloth was 3D modeled, it revealed a human body that was in the exact state of crucifixion, just like the Bible describes Jesus. Some of the marks, like nail holes, whip marks on the back, crown of thorns on the forehead, and bleeding on the ribs, all matched Jesus's final moments. Now the question comes, what do you believe? Does this cloth really belong to the same person who was crucified 2,000 years ago? Or is it all just a coincidence? If you are religious, maybe faith is enough for you. Maybe you don't need any proof. If your heart tells you that this cloth is real, then it is the truth. But if you want answers from science, then you will be surprised to know that many scientists today also believe that no human could have made the image on this cloth. It was not made with a brush or paint. It seems to have been made with some unknown energy, maybe light or radiation, and that too without any touch. So now, this decision is in your hands. Do you believe only in faith? Or do you also believe in the evidence that has come out after years of research? And yes, if you believe in Jesus and have a deep interest in these things, then definitely subscribe to this channel, because we will keep bringing the truth related to such mysteries in front of you. If this cloth, which is thousands of years old, really belongs to the person we call Jesus, then are we entering a completely new era of faith and truth? What was only in scriptures and stories till now is now coming to light with scientific evidence. The question is, do you want to know this truth? Would you like to be a part of that moment when the world will see a bridge being built between faith and science? If you believe in Jesus, or want to know every information related to this mystery in depth, then subscribe to this channel now, because we bring you things which will make you think and which may change your thinking. We are leaving you with a question. Are you ready to come this close to the truth? The decision is yours.